Hello, today we're going to quickly go over how to set up your browser to run best with Verso or Agent from Autographics. And we're going to use Internet Explorer. So what you first do is you go into Tools and Internet Options. If you don't see Tools, you can right click on your title bar here and choose Menu Bar. As you can see, it disappears or it may not be visible, so you can turn it on. And now you see Tools and Internet Options. Another way to get to Internet Options is to go to the gear and to Internet Options. Okay, so we're going to be covering a couple of tabs within Internet Options that make the system run best for you. You should make changes to the system or the browser before trying to install any of our AGCAT or AGPrint utilities to make it best. Also, making these changes will help with spine label printing and other kinds of issues that might arise because of browser security settings not being compatible perhaps with your site. So let's start with step number one. Once you go to Tools and then Internet Options, the first tab is General. We have some recommendations. If you're on your site already, that'll be best. But once you're in General, check the tabs and check Always Allow Pop-ups in a new window. This helps because if a pop-up occurs and shows up in a different tab, you may or may not see it in certain cases. So that's setting number one. Setting number two is check your browser history cache settings and click Settings under the Browsing History section and set it to every time I visit the page. Just in case there is an error or anything else that's a problem, the browser will not cache that information, and you'll always have a clean page load every single time. So that's the first two things that I make a change of in the Generals tab. The next tab is Security, and what we'll do is we'll ensure our website is added to the trusted sites in the browser, and this does a couple of things. One, it makes the website compatible with external applications, and also some of the antivirus programs that run may look at this area for any sites that you have added to the list and is very lenient on those sites so that it won't scrutinize your connections to our servers. So Security, Trusted Sites, click on Sites. You'll see that you want to try to add this website to the list. Now before you do that, you'll have to uncheck the required server verification. What happens is if you try to add it, it's requiring you that you choose a prefix that starts with HTTPS. So what you do is you simply uncheck this. Your site's already listed because you were added before you even get into the Internet Options. Simply add it to the list. Press Close. And I also do one other thing. Sometimes you might have custom levels set in here where you're disabling things and so forth. Just to be safe, this is only applicable to the trusted sites zone. So this security zone, you might be under custom, it might be under some different settings. Just click on default level, maybe bring it down a notch to allow better compatibility. And that's what I would normally recommend. And the security levels for the zone only affect what's in the trusted sites list, so it doesn't hurt anything. So we'll go ahead and lower that maybe down a notch, and go ahead after pressing default level, and then apply that change. Okay. Thirdly, we want to check to see that there's no pop-up blockers running. So we'll click on Privacy. And we have pop-up blockers on. That's fine if it's running. It's just you have to make sure that you're not blocking our site. If it's not on, then you don't need to do this step. But if it is on, you may want to do this for this pop-up blocker and any other pop-up blocker you may have. For example, the Google toolbar from Google that shows up in a lot of folks' toolbar on the top of their browser has a More section, and there's actually a pop-up blocker in there. So you would want to ensure any pop-up blocker, you're allowing the site to be an exception to the list. So I'm going to go ahead and put in our auto-graphics.com And any site that's AutoGraphics related is not going to be pop-up blocked. Okay. This is important because if you're in circulation, you may get a pop-up for a receipt that you may not see because it's being blocked by the pop-up blocker. So it's important to do that. A tip for those that have an Intel graphics accelerator is next. And what I'm going to do here is check my computer to see if I'm running an Intel graphics accelerator. Normally you can go to your system tray and it'll say Intel like this computer here. I'll open it up. And on the bottom of my tray, on the bottom of my screen, I do have an Intel graphics accelerator or graphics card. So another tip we suggest, because this is a driver issue with Intel, if you have an Intel graphics card, go to the last tab, which is Advanced, and check this box if you're having any difficulties with any pop-ups, and some folks have reported issues with YouTube videos not playing where their screen is just white. And it has to do with how the drivers of Intel affiliate themselves with Microsoft, and it's a known issue out there, which may or may not be resolved, but just to play it safe, this will eliminate any of those kind of issues to occur. The Intel graphics card is basically integrated on the computer's main CPU, and it borrows the RAM or memory of your computer. And if you're running too many things, it is possible you won't have enough video memory to show certain things at certain times on your machine. This will help with the regulation of the memory if you're running an Intel graphics card. If not, you don't have to worry about this setting. And it is not required, it's just optional. Okay, so those are my settings for the Internet Explorer that I would suggest. Now, the internet options you see here are the same internet options that you also see in your control panel, which is the same in Windows 8 and Windows 7 and Windows XP. So if you were to simply come over to Internet Options in the control panel, you would see that these options look identical to the same options that appeared when I went to the Tools and Internet Options. The reason I'm mentioning this is because on an operating system of Windows, some of the other browsers as Chrome and Firefox that you run will actually tap into some of these internet options. That's why I used Internet Explorer to demonstrate how to set your browser up. Now, continuing on, there's one last thing that you want to do while you're on your site. And it's very important for those of you that are particularly doing some spine label printing. And we've been having some reports from customers over the last couple of months, or even within the last year, since Internet Explorer is updated. Some of the printouts become a lot smaller than they should be, or they're shrunken down to 75%. So the last thing you want to do, and you want to ensure this is active, is go to Tools and Compatibility View Settings. Ensure your site, Autodesk is added to this list, and then press Close. Once your site is added to the compatibility list, you'll see that there's a little blue icon on the top. That's the compatibility view is active. Now, a lot of you may also clear your system cache or your browser cache when you exit the browser. So just as a test, we have found cases that when folks delete their cache, or they elect to have the cache of their browser cleared when they exit, it may, in some cases, delete the compatibility view URL that we just added in this area. So as a test, go ahead and clear your cache, and once you hit delete in the clear cache area, you can see it here, it's in Tools, Internet Options, General, and then delete. A shortcut key is to press Control, Shift, and the delete key. It'll immediately pull up the browser caching clearing box here. This is the same for Firefox and Chrome, it does the same. Now, I'm going to go ahead and clear the cache. There are some check marks that are very important to retain in here. Number one is the top box. If this is unchecked, it may delete the compatibility view settings. So just leave the default settings and give it a shot to see, once you've deleted it, what happens to your URL. So my browser cache is deleted and it's cleared. And I'm just going to double check my compatibility view settings just to make sure my URL is there. And as you can see, it disappeared, which is not good in certain cases. Depending upon your operating system, it may delete or may not delete. I have Windows 8, it gets cleared. So the tip we have for double checking this is try adding your site back to the list, compatibility view settings. If your URL has been cleared after deleting the cache in this compatibility view settings area, uncheck the history box and see if this one will allow it to be retained. So now I'm going to double check it and see if it's there. So in this case, and it doesn't happen on all browsers, IE10 may not have this issue, some IE11s don't have this issue either, but for some reason, this checkbox you may want to kind of experiment and ensure, just in case you clear your cache, you don't want to lose your retention of the settings that we just provided. So I hope this helps, and this is to be done initially before maybe installing any of our components like AG Print, AG Cat. And the last note to make is, you recall one of the first steps we had done is go to the security tab and trusted sites, and we added our site in here. As mentioned, you may also want to include this URL in any kind of antivirus exceptions list that you may be running. That will help a great deal. If you perform these steps and you're still having any difficulties whatsoever with our software, please feel free to contact our help desk at AutoGraphics. The email address is helpdesk@auto-graphics.com. Telephone number 800-852-8686. Thank you.